5 things. Bulletin. Countering China. On Tuesday, the Trump administration ordered the Houston consulate closed within 72 hours. It alleged Chinese agents tried to steal data from facilities including the Texas A&M medical system. The latest move on behalf of the State Department to shutter a Chinese consulate in Houston over concerns of intellectual property theft should serve as a reminder that the Chinese are not good actors and proves their disregard of all the values we hold dear, Representative Dan Crenshaw said Friday. What we know is that the Chinese have used consulates like this one, and this one might have been their primary hub, to engage in intellectual property, theft, hacking, influence operations, all of the above, Representative Crenshaw told the Fox News Rundown podcast. The Chinese Foreign Ministry rejected the allegations as malicious slander, and warned the Houston consulate's closure was breaking down the bridge of friendship between the two countries. China ordered the United States to close its consulate in the western city of Chengdu on Friday, ratcheting up a diplomatic conflict at a time when relations between the two countries have sunk to their lowest level in decades. The measure taken by China is a legitimate and necessary response to the unjustified act by the United States, said a foreign ministry statement. The current situation in Chinese-U.S. relations is not what China desires to see. The United States is responsible for all this, the ministry said. We once again urge the United States to immediately retract its wrong decision and create necessary conditions for bringing the bilateral relationship back on track. The Houston Police Department reported that documents were being burned in the courtyard of the Consulate General in the city on Tuesday night. I guess they were burning documents or burning papers, and I wonder what that's all about, President Trump said in a press conference. Huawei 5G components have been banned from many countries' infrastructure including America, United Kingdom, Australia and now France and soon Germany probably too. EU countries must take urgent action to diversify their 5G suppliers, the European Commission said, a move set to shrink Huawei's presence in Europe as the US pressured the bloc to follow the UK and ban the Chinese company from 5G networks. In November last year, the European Union agreed to take a tough line on 5G suppliers to reduce cybersecurity risks to next-generation mobile networks, seen as key to boosting economic growth and competitiveness. The strategy included reducing countries' and telecoms operators' dependency on one supplier. The world's largest telecoms equipment maker Huawei competes with Finland's Nokia and Sweden's Ericsson. The U.S. says the Shenzhen-based company's gear could be used by China for spying, an accusation rejected by Huawei. EU officials said phasing out high-risk suppliers and additional costs will not derail the rollout of 5G across the bloc and that Ericsson and Nokia will be able to cope with the demand. None of this affects the consumer products from Huawei. They have partnerships with brands including Deviolette, Samsonite, Karcher and Joyoung, with many more in the pipeline. However, in May 2020 an announcement from the U.S. restricting U.S. companies from supplying technology to Huawei will have other consequences for the use of Huawei technology, that may want to be considered. Existing Huawei devices shouldn't be affected, all the apps should continue to work, and the phone, laptop, tablet should keep getting security updates for its normal lifetime. But from now on, new Huawei devices won't be able to use Google applications or services, for example, the Play Store, Maps, YouTube or Google Assistant. A Chinese military researcher who entered a Chinese consulate in San Francisco to avoid arrest by the FBI is now in custody, according to administration officials. In June, federal authorities issued an arrest warrant for Wan Tang, a researcher at UC Davis, for concealing her affiliation with the Chinese military in her visa application. Tang evaded arrest by seeking refuge in the Chinese consulate. Senior administration officials confirmed that Tang is now in custody as of Thursday night and is expected to appear in federal court on Friday. It is unclear how U.S. authorities arrested Tang. Officials declined to comment on why the consulate allowed the arrest to happen, saying that additional details will be revealed at the court appearance. Tang's arrest is the latest success in the FBI's recent push to crack down on Chinese state espionage in American academia. Federal authorities have arrested several other Chinese and U.S. researchers at American institutions for lying about their ties to the Chinese military or the Thousand Talents program, a program the FBI sees as an avenue of nontraditional espionage for the Chinese government. High-profile arrests have included Professor Charles Lieber, the former chair of Harvard University's chemistry department, who concealed from federal investigators the fact that he had received funding from the Thousand Talents program. Administration officials said the government continues to fight back against Chinese intelligence efforts, noting that the FBI opens a new counterintelligence investigation tied to China every 10 hours. Sweeping new national security law that China imposed on Hong Kong, aimed at stamping out opposition to the ruling Communist Party in the former British colony, is as devastating as some critics feared. The law is likely to usher in a new era for Hong Kong, experts say, in which civil liberties are tightly constrained and loyalty to the party is paramount. All in all, this is a takeover of Hong Kong, said Jerome A. Cohen, a New York University law professor who specializes in the Chinese legal system. The law is devastating in that it appears to have no bounds, said Sophie Richardson, the China director at Human Rights Watch. Hong Kong activists, accustomed to operating in a mostly rights-respecting environment, now face a frightening void. As a result of this, Britain is considering allowing British overseas passport holders in Hong Kong a relaxed visa regime allowing them to settle in the UK. The chairs of 8 parliamentary foreign affairs committees from across Europe have written to the Chinese government in opposition to Hong Kong's new security law, saying it infringes on basic human rights in their countries. The joint statement by the committee chairs, from countries including Germany, the UK, Belgium, Latvia, Norway and the European Parliament itself, shows a network of parliamentarians as being constructed to shift European governments towards a harder stance on China's abuse of human rights. The politicians claim European public opinion has lost faith in China due to the way in which it has intervened to impose a new security law, which gives Beijing unprecedented powers, without consulting the people of Hong Kong. U.S. President Donald Trump issued an executive order to end Hong Kong's special status with the U.S. and signed into law a bill to impose sanctions on Chinese officials that have been involved in Beijing's crackdown on the former British colony. Hong Kong will now be treated the same as mainland China, no special privileges, no special economic treatment and no export of sensitive technologies, Trump said. Their freedom has been taken away. Their rights have been taken away. And with it goes Hong Kong, in my opinion, because it will no longer be able to compete with free markets, Trump added. Militarily, the U.S. and allies are starting to push back against Chinese belligerents in the South and East China Seas. 3 supercarriers from the U.S. are operating in the area, soon to be joined by Britain's brand new Queen Elizabeth carrier. India recently held maritime drills with the U.S. near the Malacca Strait, through which most of China's oil imports and trade exports pass. The U.S. has also approved a $620 million missile upgrade deal with Taiwan, after China's recent incursions into Taiwan's airspace. In April, the Chinese Coast Guard sunk a Vietnamese fishing boat near the Paracel Islands, which it unlawfully claims as its own territory. If China doesn't want to be sent back to the Stone Age, they had better change their ways, and quickly. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, comment and subscribe to be notified of new content.